I think that – did everybody pick?
No, mate.
All right, so Bryan.
Me?
Hold on. Oh, man, I am falling to pieces. I am just falling to pieces right before your very eyes, ladies and gentlemen. Next on Rugby Wrap-Up, Alex Corbisiero, Dan Power, Bryan Ray, and Matt McCarthy on Major League Rugby's best 9, 10, 12, 13, plus new teams, coaching changes, and global rugby rumors. Rugby Wrap-Up brought to you in part by The Pig and Whistle, the world's best rugby pub. The Murphy Kennedy Group, founded with the idea that construction can be done better. And Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Rugby Wrap-Up. Matt McCarthy in Midtown Manhattan talking rugby. And once again, we have the triumvirate, the trio, the gorgeous men of rugby led by Mr. Alex Corbisiero in San Diego, Bryan Ray in Nova Scotia, and Dan Power, who we're never quite sure where the pop icon is. Dan, where are you?
Hey, I'm on the 19th, Matt, at the medalist, TB12. Peyton and Tiger are celebrating at the bar. I don't know if you can see them there behind at the bar, but crazy scenes here since Sunday.
Yeah, and guys, no dirty cracks, okay? Winky, winky. Alex, how are you?
I'm very well, mate. Red, white, and blue themed here with the USA T-shirt.
Oh, don't tell us why. We'll get to that in a second.
Won't say anything, but I'm very well out in San Diego. Cannot complain. Excited to be back on the show. Nice week to reflect. Got a little bit of news buzz with our debate on the MLR draft. Was it last week? So, you know, it's been a good week.
Yeah, you got some heat, didn't you?
I got a little bit of heat, but I stand by for the player welfare and the issues that I raised, why I think it's too early for the draft. But people actually in the know of the draft on the competitive board or whatever it is actually reached out, gave me a lot more info, which I was happy to see how many players have signed up to it. And they did also acknowledge some of my issues, which they hope to overcome over time. So, you know, positive steps. They put a much better argument together than Big Dan Power in the corner there. So still think it's a little early and hard to ask people to shift all over the country for where MLR is right now. But they seem to have enough people keen, which is a testament to how much people love rugby in the United States. So let's go.
So you caved in, you waffled, and now you're riding both sides of the fence.
I've toned down my full guns blazing to like more of like a pistol every now and again. I'll just pot shot now instead of just throw every bullet I have out.
As the gentleman that you are, you've turned down the rhetoric or dialed it down.
A little bit. And I didn't want to crush Mr. Power 2 weeks in a row, so I thought I'd be nice. I thought I'd be nice this week.
You guys could hug it out virtually, maybe, right?
Make it realistic. Come on, do it again.
Hogan, Andre the Giant.
Yeah, there we go. I got you.
Scoop you up and drop you
hugs,
right
Bryan?
in the middle of the silver dome.
I can feel the machismo oozing out of my screen. It's a little too much.
Speaking of which, what's going on with you up there, kid?
A rare sunny day here. It's like San Diego weather, which does not happen very often up here in the north, but happy to hang out with our favorite MLR know-it-alls here online. Nobody wants to hang out outside anyways. There's bugs about, might get bitten or something like that, eaten by a bear or some other ridiculous animal.
So it was sunny out today and it was relatively warm. How was your summer?
Summer. Yeah, I'll tell you in a couple hours.
All right, guys. We got a lot to get to. You know, we're continuing our theme of best ofs of MLR 2020. We're going to do the best 9, 10, 12, and 13 today. And next week, we'll finish it with the back three in the back line. But before we do that, let's get our take on what caught our eye in global rugby. 30 seconds, please. We don't want 22 minutes each like we did last week. And Alex, I know that you're very excited wearing that USA Rugby shirt, so why don't you bring us in with what you were going to talk about?
All right. Since you teed me up so well, I'm going to do it. Okay. We all saw that Rob Hoadley had stood down from head coach of the San Diego Legion. Zack Test and Scott Murray have both been promoted to co-head coaches of the Legion. And seeing as Zack Test is the poster boy, USA Rugby 7's legend, I put the USA T-shirt in honor of him. And I think that's pretty big news. I think Rob Hoadley has done a tremendous job at San Diego. I think he should be very proud of what he's done. He's built that up from scratch. I think the way he brought Zack Test into the coaching sphere in the United States is going to be an amazing legacy that he leaves behind as well. Excited to see what he does next. But those two coming into sort of the powerhouse team in the league and definitely on the West Coast, you know, Zack Test is a bright spot of a success story of the MLR and the coaching opportunities and the pathway that is helping develop for coaches in the United States. And it has Giltinis on the back. I don't know if I could see. I couldn't turn anymore. But basically, it's available at Amazon. Feed the family. You know, you guys know the deal.
Tell them
Support
Rugby
the
Wrap Up
players.
sent you.
Yeah. There's a discount code somewhere.
Discount code. Hoadley, odd situation, right, guys? I you know, love to see these guys like Zack Test and Scott Murray get an opportunity. But Hoadley, my intel at the beginning of the season was that he had to win a championship to retain his job. At the time that the season, the plug was pulled, he was 5-0. Not sure you could do much better than that. There's probably more of that story that'll come out, but we'll get back to that next week. Dan, some interesting things with some Australian friends of yours.
We'll stay on the West Coast. Firstly, I just want to echo Alex's congratulations to Zach. Zach's a good friend. I know Scott Murray as well, but in good hands here in San Diego. But I don't think Rob Hoadley will be without a job in 2021 if he so chooses. So he'll be in hot demand. One team that doesn't have a head coach is the LA Giltinis, the newest franchise. So Darren Coleman and Stephen Hoyles, a lot of people know Hoylesy from his Fox Rugby commitments down in Australia, will be the assistant coach and head coach retrospectively. And Adam Gilchrist has doubled down on the Gilgronis with the Giltinis. And I'll just put it out publicly now, Matt. I'm staying with the Gilgronis. I'm the OG Gilgroniac and will not be changing allegiances to the LA. So they can suck it. And I'm staying down in Austin with my Gilgroniacs.
So if I'm not mistaken, you are saying that you are staying with the Gilgronis until the Giltinis ask you to come to them.
Well, we all saw the orange Lamborghini, Matt, and if we're going by the color spectrum that LA put out, I wouldn't mind a Lambo. Actually, no, I think the James Bond theme with the Giltinis. Why don't we get what was it, Corbs? James Bond, the McLaren?
Aston Martin. The
Aston Martin. Thank you.
When you say James Bond in a rugby show, people can't but help think about Mark Griffin, who is the dead ringer for Daniel Craig.
They should reach out to Daniel Craig, whatever it takes, give him some free ownership just to get on the big screen, you know, shaken, not stirred every time they score a try or something. Marketing 101. There you go.
I'm excited to try Giltini next season.
Me too. Me too.
I'm down to jump on the bandwagon. Hit me up.
There you go, Gilly. Get my man.
All of us can basically be on any bandwagon at any given point for the right reasons. If you know what we're saying, everybody.
For the right price.
Bryan, what caught your eye at Global Rugby this week?
Well, I mean, how do you follow news like that? We've got new coaches in San Diego. We've got a new franchise in LA. We've got a new Dallas franchise. Hey, the Toronto Arrows announced they're having a new 1-hour special show on TSN. That's big news for Canadians, building the profile of the sport. I'm interested in seeing where all these players are going to go coming up in the next season. Of course, we just had the dispersal draft, the Raptors, some of those guys going places. Luke White, Mika Cruze, where they're going. We kind of have an idea, but we'll wait for those to break. And some of these guys who are maybe repatriating. Eric Fry, he's out of contract, contemplating retiring, but, he's going to have this pandemic break. Hopefully he gets fit. Maybe we'll see him with LA. Nick Savetta, I know he's got an offer on the table in France, but I know he's weighing his options as well. Another one, Taylor Paris, is a free agent. So a really exciting offseason coming up for MLR.
Alex, any truth to the rumor that you will be teaming up with Eric Fry in the front row of the LA squad, the Giltinis?
Cannot confirm or deny that, but no, unfortunately not. I have a price. It's out there. Who knows if it ever gets met, but I'm happy doing what I'm doing. But, I'm available.
You've come full circle from absolutely saying I am not playing rugby ever again, despite me saying that you will, to now saying I have a price.
Yeah. Pretty much the MLR salary cap. If you hit me with that, I'm in.
Me too.
But
I'll put him back on for that.
Now they might be getting rid of scrums and all sorts. I might be out of a job completely, so who the hell knows?
Fair enough. And Dan, if you do come back, are you going to be wearing number 4 or number 15? Because your social media handles are driving me batty.
Yeah, poor Denise Power. Sorry, man. TBD. I want the Corbisiero deal.
It's a cliffhanger, folks. We're going to find out what Dan's number will be, but we know that Alex will be either 1 or 3, depending on what's needed.
1 or 3 to the Giltinis right here. Here we go, right?
Giltinis is going to be the new
No.
franchise. Yeah, the Giltinis. They'll be the Jersey Shore team, co-owned by The Situation and coached by Jimmy Denise. How you doing? That said, we have to take a quick break. A, because we have to hear from some of our sponsors, but B, because Alex will have to change his shirt. So we'll be right back with Dan, Bryan, and Alex Corbisiero after these words.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
I'm Zack Test, and I'm here with Rugby Wrap-Up. Enjoy the day.
And we are back. Matt McCarthy in Midtown Manhattan, Alex Corbisiero in San Diego, Bryan Ray in Nova Scotia, Canada, and Dan Power in Florida meets Denver, not Mexico this week. We're not going to talk about what happened in Mexico. But Dan, while we are talking to you, let's start with you and your number 9 as the best scrum half in MLR 2020.
Thanks for picking me first for once. Tough decision. A lot of really good 9s in the league, but I've actually gone with Old Glory's Danny Tusitala. I was there for the last game of the season against Atlanta and just was so impressed with the speed of the game that Danny's able to move at. Brilliant vision, great runner of the ball, aggressive defender. Everything you want from a 9, all in one package, and a great leader from everyone I've heard from at Old Glory as well. Really great locker room guy there. So I've gone for Danny Tusitala as my number 9.
Alex?
I think that's a great pick. I've gone for another 9 that caught my eye. Devet Roos, the captain at Houston. I thought he made a huge impact for them this year. I thought, coming into a club and being named captain in a week, shows a lot about the type of player he is off the field, the character, but the way he put the team on his back, his physicality, his ability to create breaks, to score tries, to do all the basic sort of operational jobs of a 9 as well, very efficiently. I think he has a really well-rounded game, and just his ability to not shut up for 80 minutes of yapping at his team, defense, everything. I love that from a 9. And so I was really impressed with him this season.
Great pick. UCLA fan these days, or?
Just, repping. Did a bit of coaching there this year. I thought I'd put it on for the day. I will wear your T-shirt on this show. Brands who want to sponsor, don't give Matt the money. Give it to me, and I'll wear the T-shirt, and it will be on the show.
Bryan, I know that you've got something up your sleeve.
I can't argue with the 2 gentlemen I already named, but I'm going to go with a young guy down in the rugby ATL, Duncan Van Skulfijk. He kind of played both halfback positions in college. Now he's settling into 9, which I think is his best spot. Really aggressive around the fringes. He was really the centerpiece of ATL's attack this year, and his first year was hugely important to them. So looking forward to his ascent towards Eagle caps.
Astute observations, as usual, from ARN, America's Rugby News. I'm going to go, guys, with one of Dan's people, an Aussie, Scott Gale of NOLA. And I know people out there are going to say, but he was supposed to be the number 10. Yeah, well, injuries in that back line, and the fact that they didn't tank is a credit to NOLA Nate Osborne, who is the longest tenured coach in Major League Rugby history, ladies and gentlemen. Holding that team together, and he held it together because guys were playing out of position or multiple positions, and one of those guys is Scott Gale, who has a history as a number 9, sure, but he was playing 10, moved it to number 9. NOLA averaged 3.8 tries per game, Google it, and they only lost to Ma'anu'u's San Diego Legion by 4 points. Pretty good job. Let's go to the number 10 position, and let's start with our friend Bryan Ray.
I really like the Old Glory halfback combination, so I'll go with Jason Robertson here. Kind of a lower profile than some of the other 10s that we saw come into MLR this year. Came out of Bay of Plenty down in New Zealand, and man, really electric. Small guy, but super quick, found the gaps. That, first game right out of the blocks, he was attacking the line, or I guess the second game against NOLA, they got kind of steamrolled. But he even looked good in that game. So I thought he was, I think he's the leading scorer this season as well. So I'm going to go with Jason Robertson.
Great pick. Let's change things up. Let's mix it up a little bit here, and let's go with Dan.
I'm going to go to the opposite coast. I'm going to go with Lukey Burton, much to the delight of superfan down there, Stacey Montgomery, who's been petitioning for more San Diego Legion action on this show, Matt. But outstanding 10. Big shoes coming in, filling up for Joe Peterson. Everyone was very impressed with the 2019 that JP had. And, Luke Burton came in as they managed the minutes for Peterson early on, and he was just outstanding. Very different player to Peterson, but I thought he controlled the tempo and the pace of the game. And a difficult job for a 10 coming in with Ma Nonu as your 12 as well. Like, you've obviously got a lot of pressure to get him the ball, and the fans want it, the people want it, and you probably want to give him the ball as well. But I thought he did a really good job of controlling those expectations and running that team around the park down there in San Diego. 5-0, baby.
I was initially going to go with Sudden Sam Windsor down for the Houston SaberCats, but my producer in my ear was verifying some information that I was looking for. Cahill Marsh of Rugby United New York did indeed finish with 45 points on the season, if I'm not mistaken. And for a roster that was constantly in flux, with basically a dearth of loose forwards and second rows, Bastereau in the back line, and then at number 8, he kept that team together, and he's built like an accountant, a skinny accountant, and took a beating and still kept getting up off the turf. Tough Irish guy. Alex, apologies, I skipped you. Who is your number 10 pick?
No apology needed here, Matt. My number 10 I went for Taylor Adams from the Arrows. I was really impressed with him and Malcolm, the way they did that 10-15, almost interchanging, the ability to try and play a wide style. I like sort of the tempo that he brought, similar to what Robertson did down in DC. I just think it just added another level to their attacking game, and so I was a big fan of his. I do want to give a mention though to tag leader. I think obviously being one of the American qualified 10s in the MLR, I thought he was very, very impressive as well, and made a huge difference at New England. But I'm going to give it to Adams.
Yeah, with Tag Leader getting his bell rung on that field turf out in Vegas and missing a chunk of those games, it really put the pressure on the back line for New England. And they were pretty prolific offensively. But they gave up a lot of penalties, and they conceded a lot of points as well. But solid pick. But Alex, because I skipped you, why don't you start with your number 12? So when everybody else is picking the same guy.
I like that. I get to go first on this one because I feel like first name to paper is Mahanonu, the absolute All Black legend. And he didn't just turn up in name or in image. He came to ball, and I was really impressed with what he did on the field for San Diego. I thought he wasn't selfish. His distribution game at 12 is sometimes underrated because of the physical prowess and that step he has. And I think from speaking to players as well, his off-field impact was huge. The culture, the experience, the vibe. I think he was really embodied everything that a perfect big name signing in the MLR should do. So I'm going to give him the 12 shirt. Dan,
why don't you go with, because you got that whole Aussie Kiwi thing going on there. So
you can't argue. I mean, over 100 caps for the All Blacks. The guy was class and turned up and was class. So hard to argue with that, but for disparity, I will actually go down to Houston, and I think this guy benefited a lot from some of your earlier picks from Corbs and Devet Roos and Sam Windsor, the original man crush. I'm going to go with Tian Lutz, big South African centre. Pretty versatile, went 12 and 13 throughout the year, but liked his style of play, no nonsense, aggressive guy, takes the ball at the game line, plays in the mouth of the line, so to speak. Impressed with him, and hopefully he's back for Houston. Hopefully they're all back, that midfield for Houston next year. Big things for the SaberCats in 2021.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to leave you with a bit of a cliffhanger because we have to take a quick break, but we'll be back with Mr. Bryan Ray's pick and my pick, and then the best 13s in the league right after this.
Been blind since I was 4, and I've never seen a beer commercial or a beer label. None of that stuff influences me. I drink beer because of the taste. And my beer is Pabst Blue Ribbon. It has the taste and the flavor.
What do you think's on the label?
I think there's a naked woman riding on a unicorn, jumping over fire. Oh, that's good beer.
And we are back. We left you on that cliff. I know you were nervous. I know you're anxious. But Bryan, why don't we calm our fans down? Give them your pick.
Yeah, the intrigue. Look, the truth is Nanu was ahead of everybody. But I'll follow Dan's lead and pick somebody not named Nanu who I thought deserved recognition. I'm going to go with Con Foley of NOLA. I really like the way he plays. I think they got a lot of firepower in that back line. He's kind of like the link. He was vice captain this year, adds leadership, defends really well. He plays every minute for that team. So I think he was impressive this season.
All right. Well, we have a little bit of poetic license, if you will. And I'm going to put Robbie Coleman at number 12 for NOLA. One of those guys that played 10, he played 12, he played 15. It was a big reason that they had the success that they did. So I'm going with Coleman as my number 12. And that leaves us, drum roll please, without choice for number 13. And Dan Power, you're the man that gets to pick this one first.
A lot of NOLA gold here today with all these picks from 9 all the way through 12.
Well, I was on the Rugby World Cup 2015 tour with Nolan Nate Osborne. He's one of my boys, so you know.
Yeah, he's a solid rooster. Oh, sorry, cat. I shouldn't say rooster. People will start thinking there's going to be some sort of draft trade.
There's a trade
coach now called.
You just heard it from Dan Power. Freudian slip. Trade. Big trade looming between NOLA and Rooney.
The original, the OG, Nate Osborne. I'm going to go with the man you mentioned just before, Matt, Carl Meyer. His versatility saw him at
This just backfired on me.
It did. His versatility had him start the year at 15, but really we saw his best rugby at 13. Big boy, 106 kg. So probably, what's that? Corbs quickly, 240.
110 is about 240 roughly.
Okay, so he's just a tick under. But that's a big boy to be playing 13. But
how many stone is that?
17.
17 stone 8 ounces in the old scale.
17-6 stone.
Yes. So, no, very impressed with him. And again, another guy who I hope for New Orleans and for the fans of Major League Rugby comes back next year, because I feel we were robbed of seeing the best of Carl Meyer this year.
Bryan, you're number 13, and I might want to warn you that you haven't been very Canadian-friendly so far today.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to start now. Maybe next time. I'm going to go. I was really impressed with Troy Lockyer in the couple games that he kind of filled in for Rooney, but he's got a big future ahead of him. I'm going to go actually to I'm going to throw Colorado a bone here. We kind of laid into them a little while ago for dropping out of the league, but they had a guy, Rene Ranger, who came in, and the guy was a monster. As soon as he came in, he was blasting people. Poor Dom Toluanu from Utah up against him and got absolutely smashed.
Yeah, but how much time did he spend in the sin bin? Or should have spent in the sin bin?
Well, there was a case maybe for a bigger card than that in one of the games. But look, the guy, we know how the guy plays. We've seen him with the All Blacks, and I thought he delivered on what we expected of him. And it's a shame again that we didn't get to see more of him, and won't get to see him again in a Raptors jersey, which is really quite sad.
Tears from the gallery. Great hair too. He's got great hair. You know, that's an important component for me. I'm going to go with a league leader in a lot of categories. Oh, wait, Dan already picked that guy because he knew that I was going to pick Carl Meyer. Yeah, he's sorry. Anyway, he drilled 5 kicks, 1 penalty kick, and had 4 conversions if we go back to March in a 31-22 win over the Free Jacks. An impressive match in itself, but the guy had 48 points. He was pretty damn good from the tee at like 77% accuracy. And guys, they need to really wait a little bit more. And I mean WEIGHT. The difficulty, the pressure on the road, rain, wind, all that stuff. Because, this guy was 5 for 8 from the tee on penalty kicks or conversions, whereas Jimmy was only 4 for 10. But those 4 for 10 could have been game winners or under really tough situations. What is your thought on that kind of statistical comparison?
I don't care if it's a match winner or not. Every kick's the same. You approach it the same. I know you're trying to prove something, Matt, in a roundabout way, but I'm not buying it.
I'm going to go.
You got to make your kicks. Got to kick it in front. Got to kick it 50 out to win the game. Doesn't matter. As a kicker, you've got to approach every kick exactly the same.
Horse hockey, absolute horse hockey, because if any sports agent out there worth their salt is going to represent these players, and eventually that's going to be a reality. And Alex, you're the guy that was talking up the players last week. If you're a sports agent, and I'm not suggesting that Alex is going to go down that route anytime soon, but if he is an agent, Alex, you are an agent, aren't you going to point out the differences in this stuff?
I think you have to. I think stats are good, but I always think context around stats are incredibly valuable. You know, I just think I agree with Dan that on paper, like, goal kickers are just judged by their overall percentages. Like, people look at Owen Farrell's or look at this, but, you know, do they take into account that Owen Farrell's is slightly lower for England, but he kicks most of them as attempts are from the corner because the way Johnny May and them score tries out wide. Is that enough of an asterisk to be brought in? Or if you played a particularly windy ground where it swirls, or, you know, where it's very hard to kick, do you allow that into your asterisks, or do you say, well, half your games are away from that environment anyway, so it balances out? Like,
in your face, Dan.
I see what Matt's saying. I see what Matt's saying, but I also see what Dan's saying, and I think it's a fair enough comment, but I don't think it should have been a discussion thread on this show, Matt. That's what I think about you.
All right, well, it's my effing show, so that thread is on this show. And let's get back to my pick. The man, the myth, the legend that Dan Power picked earlier, Carl Meyer, 501 meters gained on the ground, wrecking ball, and he could kick. And he's like 6'10", 275 pounds with zero body fat. So you could Google that too. Alex, who's your pick?
Well, seeing as, you know, Bryan hasn't taken it to Canada very often, I'm going to go back to the Arrows. I think Duplessis down in down in San Diego, I thought he played a fantastic season. I think really he was a standout. But I'm going to go with Lesage. Ben Lesage, still young, still a little rough. Still some layers to his game that need to be added, but there's some definite X factor and things you can't coach out there. His ability to come hard to the line and run those lines with the two playmakers that Toronto had, I think he fits the role and the balance there very well. He's physically very, very athletic guy, and he impressed me enough to get the nod.
I agree with you 100%, and it's because he's a good guy and he was on the show and he gets the rugby wrap-up bump. All right, well, guys, we are out of time. I'm getting barked at again by the producer off camera. I just want to also, before we go, I wanted to give a shout out to Chris Mattina because I think he's a guy that plays all over the back line for Rooney, and he just keeps ticking and getting better. You know, they heap responsibility on him, and he keeps handling it well. You know, it's not the name, not the flashy guy, but a very consistent rugby player. And,
I think you're spot on, mate. And I would say about Mattina, the hardest part for someone like him in getting in these teams is that he's that versatile, that he covers, you know, he covers every backline position, except 9, 10, 12, 13, wing, fullback, goal kicks for them. Rugby should be very proud of that someone's developing a skill set like that within the United States and playing in the MLR and developing. I do think he is very underrated and a little bit of a diamond in the rough in this MLR landscape.
And a product of America all the way through the pathway. One of those unique players that we are now fortunately seeing more and more of, right? All right, boys, I want to thank you again. Always stellar. Mr. Alex Corbisiero, Mr. Dan Power, and Mr. Bryan Ray. On behalf of them, I'm Matt McCarthy from Midtown Manhattan. For Rugby Wrap Up, stay safe.